So middlegradeninja.com. Tonight, we are so fortunate. We are going to be talking with Debbie Dadey, which I am absolutely thrilled that she's here. Debbie, how are you this evening?
Fine. How are you, Rob?
I could not be more thrilled to talk with you. If you would just give the esteemed audience kind of an overview of your background and your career in publishing so that, yeah, let's start there.
Well, you know, I'm ancient, so I've been in for a while. I was a first grade teacher, and then I was a school librarian. And of course, the thing that I loved the most was sharing books with kids. So like a lot of people, I had that dream, maybe, you know, I could write a book and people might read it. I thought that would be pretty exciting. So I wrote this story. It was really bad, called My Dad Snores a Lot. And I even sent it out. It was rejected quickly. But about that same time, I met this lady who taught at my school, Marcia Jones. And we were exercising one day after school in this weight room that our school had, because it was also for went through high school. And we were just pumping iron and talking about books because we both love to read. And she said to me, you know what, Debbie, we could write a book together. It'd be easy, she said. So the very next day we sat down at our school, in our school cafeteria, and we started writing together.
Wow. So you're hearing that, authors. That's tonight's big tip. Work out with other authors, get inspired.
I need to do a lot more of that working out, but I was very blessed. Marcia and I wrote, I guess, almost 100 books together.
So it worked out. It's been a fruitful partnership.
We wrote and sold about 100 books together, so we were very lucky.
So did you sell that first book that you wrote together?
No, we did not. The first book we wrote together, I believe it was called Plain White Bunnies. And it was about this girl who had plain white tennis shoes and she wanted fancy tennis shoes. And we never sold that one, but we kept trying. We actually wrote for about 1.5 years before we sold our first story. And you know, we felt pretty lucky because I had a friend who at the time had written for about 17 years and she had never she didn't sell a book until she'd written for 17 years. So I know we were very lucky. We were just kind of at the right place at the right time.
So how did you go about getting started? Did you reach out to an agent right away? Did you have to go on the query go round for a while? What was the process like from between you writing your better book than the Plain White Bunnies and getting it published?
Well, we kept writing every day, practicing every day. And then we actually had a bad day. And we were kidding around and said, you know, if we were some kind of monster teacher, all the kids would pay attention to us. And that kind of morphed into this vampire teacher. And we wrote that story that turned out to be called Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots. And we mailed it off to a couple, I think the third publisher we mailed it to was Scholastic. And we just sent it unsolicited. We didn't have an agent. And somehow or another, the title caught somebody's eye. And the reader actually read it and said, hey, you might want to look at this, to an editor. I think it was Eva Moore. And we were just so lucky that they called us. I was actually in my library putting books away on the shelf because I was a librarian at the time. And the editor said, you know, we really like your book. We want to buy it and make it, you know, publish it. And I was so excited. I danced on the tabletop in my library. Yeah, Marcia came in for lunch, and just so happened they called around lunchtime. We were going to go to the cafeteria together, and I was like, "Do you want to buy our book?" And she was like, "Ah!" We were trying to be real cool, you know, but we were like, "Ah!" So it's pretty exciting for us.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine how happy and thrilling that must have been to get a phone call like that from Scholastic, and it certainly has turned out to work very well for them. Because I believe I read that that went on to become what's the official title of the series? Is it the Baylor School Kids Adventures?
Yeah, The Adventures of the Bailey School Kids.
Okay. And that's one of the top 3 selling series of all time for Scholastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I read that too. So guess so. Yeah, there were 51 numbered books in the series, and then there were super specials and holiday specials. They had 2 spin-off series, the Bailey City Monsters and the Bailey School Kids Junior chapter books. So we wrote a lot of stories about the Bailey School Kids. So I think that's a trick. You really need to like your characters, because you might have them around for a long time if you were lucky like we were.
So how did that happen? As best as you could tell us, what year are we talking about, first of all, for when Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots was accepted?
Well, Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots came out in 1990, and then it took a while to get the second book published. We had to rewrite it about 3 times. That was Werewolves Don't Go to Summer Camp. And we thought, well, we did it once, maybe we could do it again, but then they kept rejecting it. And finally we got it right, and they bought it from us. And I think the fact that Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots, when it did come out, it sold 250,000 copies the first month it was out. And so I think that kind of gave them a little jump to maybe buy our second one. So we
had to turn some heads, sure.
So we kept getting one by one. And then finally, when we were writing the 6th book, they called us and said, you know what? We want you to write 4 books for us. And before, we'd always been writing the book and begging them to buy it. And then they called us and said, we want you to write 4 more books in your series. And we said, series? What series? They'd never called it a series before. They'd called them companion books. So that was when it became a series. And we started writing, getting 4 and 6 book contracts at a time. And so we had our work plotted out for us for quite a while. And there were several years where we were writing a book a month.
Wow.
So, yeah, when you write a series for a company like Scholastic, sometimes you have to be able to work very quickly.